Dragon Age is back in the news for all the wrong reasons, and it's kind of funny and kind of sad. First off, part of the story is free Dragon Age the Veilguard copies are being given away by Amazon. And it says after being handed out for free with PS Plus and Game Pass, among other offers, Dragon Age the Veilguard is being handed out for free by Amazon Australia with over 1,000 items between August 20th and September 2nd. Purchasing any of the qualifying items will entitle buyers to a copy of Dragon Age the Veilguard unless they don't want one. Which might be the biggest oof I've ever seen in my life. But we got, and shout out, by the way, to Endymion for the initial share. He said, still too expensive. And Dr. Disaster said, what a ripoff. So that's the comical part of this. Now to the sad part. This is kind of depressing. Pirate Nation on X. Bad news for The Elder Scrolls 6. Dragon Age Veilguard writer joins Bethesda. And I saw this initially from Grums, where he said, I hope this goes better. Dragon Age the Veilguard writer appointed senior quest designer at Bethesda, potentially hired for Elder Scrolls 6. And I said, professional video game employee nepotism will destroy the industry. And I said with for some reason. So there's that. And I genuinely mean that, because dealing with the game industry for as long as I have and seeing the people within it, it seems to be like it's small. It's a very small world after all. And it's like the same 12 people. It's like the journalists, like the same 12 people that get shuffled between companies. They never bring anyone new in. They never actually look for creativity. They're just like, oh, you have this on your past. You have your experience here. Quality. There you go. This comes to us on Reddit, r/Elder Scrolls. Bad news for the Elder Scrolls 6. Dragon Age Veilguard writer joins Bethesda. Remember Dragon Age the Veilguard? It released back in October 2024 and turned out to be a disappointment. Critics called it safe, shallow, and nowhere near the level of old Bioware RPGs. Now Bethesda has hired one of its main writers, John Dombrow, as senior quest designer. This is the guy behind Veilguard's Davrin storyline and the Veil Jumper quests. To me, this feels like a red flag. Instead of doubling down on what makes Elder Scrolls special, freedom, world building, exploration, Bethesda might be moving towards Bioware style design, scripted cinematic quests, dialogue wheels, forced character arcs that nobody asked for. The Elder Scrolls has always thrived as a sandbox first and story second. If Bethesda starts copying the Veilguard formula, we might end up with another clunky cinematic RPG instead of the open world we actually want. What do you guys think? Am I overreacting, or is this genuinely bad for the Elder Scrolls 6? Well, it's not good. It's not good. And again, I go back to why are we hiring these same people? If you failed to make a product that was dropped down, I don't even know what the word, just a fantastic product. It was like the greatest game in the world. Okay, that means you are someone that is desired in the game industry. If you make a game that, or if you're part of a team that makes a game that is heavily laughed at for its poor storyline, and your job is writing the storyline, I don't know what to tell you except maybe this isn't for you. I guess sometimes people have get a bad shake. Like maybe 6 of the writers were terrible and you might just be the diamond in the rough and what you wanted didn't get to go through. And because of that, it actually hid your talents. Maybe. But the problem that I see with the game industry is it's nepotism and it's also groupthink. And if you are on a team of people and you don't push forward saying you want this idea to go forward and you let the groupthink take over and the game ends up being terrible, that means bringing you to another company, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to let the groupthink take over. It's going to be terrible. This comes to us from Tech for Gamers. They said Dragon Age Veilguard writer appointed senior quest designer at Bethesda, potentially hired for Elder Scrolls 6. Story highlights: Dragon Age Veilguard writer has joined Bethesda as senior quest designer. Same writer is also credited for his work on Mass Effect Andromeda and Anthem. My goodness. They got the trifecta of slop. Mass Effect Andromeda, Anthem, and Dragon Age Veilguard. Any one of these games would put a lesser studio out of business. The fact that Bioware put 3 of those games out and is still somehow stumbling along for a new Mass Effect right now is impressive, even with most of the company dissipated. John's portfolio is a mixed bag. That's a nice way to say it's terrible, featuring some of the best and worst writing in video games. What was left of Bioware has been plunged to rock bottom thanks to Dragon Age Veilguard, which ruined the reputation of one of the most beloved RPG series and one of the most prominent developer studios in the industry. Most of the studio has been disbanded following such a failure. Now, one of the writers behind Dragon Age Veilguard has been hired at Bethesda as senior quest designer. Why it matters? Dragon Age Veilguard was a disaster. And if that energy is speculated to be brought into Bethesda games, the future of RPGs may be ruined. Oh, look, by the way, they also worked at Sucker Punch on Ghost of Yotei. That's, of course. I'm like, why? How? If you owned a game company, would you hire this person knowing what's happening with wokeness in gaming? No, sorry, bro. I don't care how good your interview is. I don't want anything to do with you. No offense, but John Dombrow was a senior writer, narrative designer at Bioware, and he helped craft Davrin's story arc, Veil Jumper storyline, and a few other missions from the game. His other work for Bioware also includes co-leading on Mass Effect Andromeda and being credited as a senior writer for Anthem. John's Bioware experience may raise questions, but he's also helped make some of the best written games ever. His most recent work is for the upcoming Ghost of Yotei. That's an interesting paragraph. While in the past, he has worked for Telltale Games, writing for Game of Thrones. Still nothing selling me here. Additionally, he was also a senior writer for BioShock Infinite Burial at Sea DLC, which was one of the best expansions ever, which I have not played yet, so I can't speak to. But okay. It is only a matter of receiving the right opportunity. Man, this sounds like they're really reaching for this guy, which he may find at Bethesda. It's unlikely they'll hire a new writer for Starfield's next DLC, which is probably nearly finished by now. Moreover, Bethesda isn't reportedly working on the next Fallout game. Given this, Elder Scrolls 6 is the only option left. John has already shown love for the Elder Scrolls series and is a big Skyrim fan. As such, consider Elder Scrolls 6 to be in good hands. Why? What about this story tells you that it should be in good hands? Because he worked on he was a part of a team for a DLC that came out like 15 fucking years ago. What the hell? Like, I'm wondering if this Shahir Zahid guy, if this was actually written by him or AI, because how could you write this and at the end wrap it up with, as such, consider it in good hands? Why? Because he likes the game? My goodness. Anyways, BioWare is pretty much boned, and now it looks like Bethesda is potentially heading down that same path. But if there is going to be any good news for Elder Scrolls fans, if this is anything like his last game, you can look forward to getting it for free with any purchase with Amazon if you live in Australia. Because, of course. Anyways, I'll leave that one there.